Welcome to the hotline for today, Friday, the 17th February 2023. So good to have you with us. We know you have choices. We thank you so much when you come here, and happier when we find reasons to make you stay. This is the hotline. So many of us, on the afternoon of the 15th of February, which is Wednesday afternoon, we tuned in to Radio Jamaica to hear this item of news leading the newscast.
The Integrity Commission has referred a report to the Director of Corruption Prosecution implicating Prime Minister Andrew Holness in an alleged conflict of interest after it concluded that he may have influenced the awarding of millions of dollars in government contracts to the company of a business associate. More in this report from Lorraine Mendez.
The investigation surrounds allegations that contracts were awarded to Westcon Construction Limited and that there is a connection and or relationship between the proprietors of the named entity and Prime Minister Andrew Holness, who was then Minister of Education, Youth and Information. The report details an investigation into the award of government contracts to Westcon Construction between 2006 and 2009. In the report, the Director of Investigation says there is evidence to show that Mr. Holness has a personal affiliation with Robert Garvin, one of the directors of Westcon Construction. It further notes that by his own admission, Mr. Holness disclosed that Mr. Garvin was personally known to him for approximately 20 years. Additionally, the Director of Investigation found that although the Social Development Commission was the implementing agency with the authority to effect the administration of government contracts procurement procedures, Mr. Holness, through his admitted recommendation of Westcon Construction Limited, may have influenced the award of the contracts. The findings further outline that the relationship between Robert Garvin and Prime Minister Andrew Holness shows reasonable grounds to conclude that the apparent influence of Mr. Holness was brought to bear on the contracts awarded by the SDC to Westcon Construction Limited. One of the findings indicates that a total of 10 contracts were awarded by the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information to Westcon Construction Limited during the period February 14, 2007 to November 10, 2009. The report said the contracts awarded to Westcon Construction through the Ministry of Education totaled $21.8 million. Of those 10 contracts, only 5 were reported to the then Office of the Contractor General by way of the Education Ministry's quarterly contract award QCA reports for the period. The report also outlined that 2 contracts were awarded through the SDC to Westcon, one for $375,000 and another for $1.4 million. Both contracts were reported to the Office of the Contractor General, but there was no evidence of the SDC utilizing formal tender procedures for the procurement. The report says the matter concerning the potential conflict of interest which arose in relation to the recommendation made by Prime Minister Holness is being referred to the Director of Corruption Prosecution for consideration with respect to breaches of the Contractor General Act, Public Sector Procurement Regulations 2008, Corruption Prevention Act and or any other applicable law. Lorraine Mendez reporting for Radio Jamaica News.
When I heard that report, I said, okay, 10 contracts awarded to this entity between February 14, 2007 and November 10, 2009. If you like the politics as much as I do, and especially from where I sit and have to give views on political matters, you need to like the politics. And in liking the politics, some things you do not forget. For example, you don't forget the dates of elections. Maybe not to the exact day, but you recall the month of an election. You certainly recall the year. So when I heard this 10 contracts between February 14, 2007 and November 10, 2009, first thing is, February 14, 2007, Andrew Holness was still an opposition member of Parliament. And I do not know in which dispensation an opposition member of Parliament has such sway, such that he is going to command to any point of it being unethical, that any friend, associate, business partner, whatever of his, is to get these contracts. So it seems to me that whatever contracts this company got preceded Andrew Holness being Minister of Education. So that was the first red flag for me in this report, because their studied report does not accord with my quick mental flash, and how things operate. Not saying it can't operate otherwise, but the thought is that is when you become a minister, that you somehow have some extraordinary power. Not when you're in opposition and you're just an MP. Worse if you're a councillor. Anyway, they come up with this potential conflict of interest. And what is this potential conflict of interest? How does it arise? What is the manifestation? They say that Mr. Holness recommended this entity, this company, to various government entities. I sat there thinking, is it the mere recommendation that rises to the level of conflict of interest? It couldn't be. You have to go on further. And you are the director of investigations. You must have investigated and found more. That beyond the mere recommendation, you must find some evidence that some greater influence was brought to bear on the entities who awarded the contract to ensure that my recommendation is accepted by you and that my friend gets the contract. And I didn't hear any such thing in it. And then, as you heard the report a moment ago, on the basis of these flimsy things in the report, the Director of Investigations concluded that Mr. Holness may have influenced the award of the contracts, may have influenced. And on the basis of the may have influenced, it was sufficient to refer the matter to the Director of Corruption Prosecution. And in just listening to the report, my critical mind, that's where I went. But worse, unknown to all of us, when we were here reporting based on what was tabled in the Parliament, when others in the media reported that Andrew Holness has been reported to the Director of Corruption Prevention, unknown to us, the reporting took place long time ago, and the Director of Corruption Prosecution came to some conclusions. which ought to have been published, if not at the same time, minutes after the publication of the report of the Director of Investigations. And so, coming to hand yesterday was this letter. Is this letter. Dated the 16th of February 2023, which we are told now has some sort of error in it. And I'm not even going to be the whiteout for the Integrity Commission. I don't even understand where they say the error lies. And I think it is for them to come and clear up. But this cover letter, signed by the Executive Director, Greg Christie, for and on behalf of the Integrity Commission, were made to understand that the Commission reviewed the ruling, a ruling which was made by the Commission's Director of Corruption Prosecution, Mrs. Keisha Prince Kamika. And that conclusion is dated the 12th of January 2023. This letter doesn't tell us when exactly the Commission reviewed the Director of Corruption Prosecution's report. And I think it would be helpful for us to be told when is it that the Commission reviewed. First thing, I need to be satisfied that there is a provision in law in the Integrity Commission Act for the Commission to review the conclusions of the Director of Corruption Prosecution. And if the Commission reviews the conclusion of the Director of Corruption Prosecution and does not agree with the conclusions, what is stated in the law that is to happen in that instance? Because I think we need to now get it clear in our heads that contrary to what we may have thought before, the Director of Corruption Prosecution is not a completely legally autonomous entity in the Integrity Commission. So her rulings and conclusions do not appear to be final because they are reviewed by the Commission. And I deduce this from the letter sent out yesterday over the signature of Greg Christie. So what we know from this letter is that the conclusion of Keisha Prince Kamika, conclusion she came to based on the Director of Investigations report being recommended to her. She concluded that no charges are to be brought against Andrew Holness for reasons that she outlined, which we will get into. But we understand that having submitted her report dated the 12th of January 2023, the Commission reviewed her ruling. We do not know when that review took place. But what we do know from this letter is that yesterday, the Commission, through its chairman, Honorable Mr. Justice Seymour Panton, directed on Wednesday that the ruling of the Director of Corruption Prosecution should now, says this letter, be submitted to the Parliament for tabling in the Parliament. So we need to ask, why was there a delay? One, is it ever the intention of the Commission? And if so, on what basis is the intention formed? On what basis, what legal basis do you sort of decide whether you're going to send for tabling the report of the Director of Corruption Prosecutions? Is it something you have done before? Or is it something you had to do in this instance because of the hold of the office? What is it? I'm coming back to you. Stay with us. Well. I'm so sorry I missed that briefing. I did intend to bring that live for you from C-Talk. But I think I had my marbles all mixed up. I thought it was going to be at 10 o'clock. But they have now laid charges against Jean and Panton. We're coming to that. In a moment. We'll get a full breakdown of the charges. She'll be going to court today. So I suppose where they have reached, they can only charge her at this time. More on that. So I was into my thoughts on this major cock-up by the Integrity Commission, which is quite sad, really. So is it the intention of the commission that it will table conclusions of the Director of Corruption Prosecution? And if so, has the commission decided whether, in fairness to the people that it investigates, it will halt the tabling of the reports of the Director of Investigations until conclusions are reached by the Director of Corruption Prevention, and table those reports simultaneously or minutes after each other, so that you do not unnecessarily get people heated as you got Mark Golding. Heated, completely blowing fuse, misfiring on all fronts. When the situation known to the Integrity Commission, based on the conclusion of the Director of Corruption Prosecution, the situation was completely different from the Director of Investigation report, as tabled, makes it out to be. And I think all of us should be extremely concerned about this matter. I see people calling for the resignation, for example, of Greg Christie as the executive director. I may be wrong, and this is part of the clarity that needs to come. I understood from all of the deliberations before the parliamentary committee that's now in play, I understood that Greg Christie's role as the executive director was simply sort of like a mailman, meaning he has no direct impact whatsoever on any of the proceedings at the commission. Reports are to be handed to him, such as the report of the Director of Investigation. Those reports are handed to him, and he, having been handed those reports, I think he is to write to the Parliament and to cause those reports to be tabled, or to get them into the clerk's hand so that they can be tabled. Similarly, as I understand, he gets from the Director of Corruption Prosecution, for example, her conclusions, and it appears that he takes those conclusions to the commissioners. And the commissioners are the retired Justice Seymour Panton the chairman, Pamela Monroe Ellis, the retired justice, Lloyd Hibbert, Eric Crawford, and Wayne Powell. And then whatever else he's directed to do by the commissioners, that's what I understand that he needs to do. So I think we need a lot of clarity on this matter so that we can know if blame is to be ascribed, to whom should blame be ascribed? Because people are now thinking, particularly because of Mr. Christie's tweets, which have been quite unfortunate. People have been thinking that somehow Mr. Christie has had a hand in determining the timing of the publication of these reports, i.e., the tabling of the reports in Parliament. And I do not understand that that is to be so based on my understanding of his role. So I think the Commission needs to clarify who is to do what. And more importantly, I think it also needs to clarify, based on this letter, the review that it does of the conclusions of the Director of Corruption Prosecution. Can this not be seen as interfering in one way or the next with the legal thoughts of the Director of Corruption Prosecution? And if so, what if you do not agree? Is it that a referral is made to the DPP? What? But so weighty is this matter. I see a release coming in from the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica, where they say that the PSOJ is appalled by the disclosures shared in the media, indicating that the Integrity Commission tabled a report in Parliament and failed to reveal the ruling by the Director of Corruption Prosecution that the activities described therein do not give rise to prosecutable offences and that no charges are to be brought. I want to pause here a second because I completely agree with the PSOG on this point. I think something is fundamentally off. And some classes are necessary. The Director of Investigations, he needs to be schooled. He needs to be schooled in administrative breaches versus breaches that rise to the level of a possible criminal charge. And if he's getting guidance from elsewhere on it, they need to go back to be schooled on it. Why do I say that? Something is fundamentally wrong where you can write a report, 100 and odd pages, recommending to the Director of Corruption Prosecution that there may be evidence on which to bring criminal charge against the holder at the moment of the office of the Prime Minister. And your internal legal mind, who has been trained in the office of the DPP, tells you in one short paragraph that has 5 lines that your recommendation in respect to breaches of the Public Procurement Procedures Handbook, that those principles provide merely administrative guide and do not have the force of legislation. Therefore, they're incapable of creating criminal offenses. How can the Director of Investigation and whoever it is who vets his report not know that? You know, before they created this Director of Corruption Prosecution matter office, I cannot forget when the OCG reports were flying left, right, and center back in the day. People used to criticize Paula Llewellyn as the DPP, saying she has never brought a charge based on anything the OCG has said. And I can remember specifically in a lot of her conclusions that she said some of the alleged breaches were administrative in nature and do not rise to a criminal charge, which is part of what this Director of Corruption Prevention sitting in the Integrity Commission is now telling the Director of Investigation. So some schooling have to go on We cannot continue to tarnish people's reputation in this way. Very soon, Gordon House is going to be empty. Only I go get D student, because no B and A student will want to suffer the indignity of the embarrassment that you put them through. And this particular integrity commission, you're supposed to be different. You have been peopled with the cream of the crop. You have been moneyed with millions upon millions of dollars. You do not make these schoolboy errors, and especially you do not make them when the office holder is the Prime Minister. And I completely believe in the rule of law, but if you do not have attending your report such degree of probity when it comes to the occupier of the office who walks with the name of Jamaica on his back when he leaves the shores of Jamaica, and you cause international media who are being fed by local sycophants to publish the things they publish about Jamaica. We don't expect this. And one of your roles, Integrity Commission, is to act fairly in the public interest. And you cause international media who are being fed by local sycophants to publish the things they publish about Jamaica. We don't expect this. And one of your roles, Integrity Commission, is to act fairly in the public interest. And you need to demonstrate to the people whether you have stood up to this particular plank of your function. A lot of people don't believe that you have. It is scandalous what has happened. And nothing that has been said before gives us any comfort. And let me tell you something, Mr. Mark Golding. You have a way of salivating about the minutest of points negative raised about Jamaica, unquestioningly so. Because part of the problem with some of these reports is that we accept them without question many times. And that's why the people who are writing them, the people who are vetting them, must understand the reverence with which the Jamaican people are approaching their reports. And it is because they are supposed to have such degree of cogency in them, such time is to be taken in preparing the report, that built into the law itself is almost a protection from libel action of the commissioners. But you cannot be free to do what you do in the ways you do it without anything coming to you. Because people have to walk. People have to live. But Mr. Golding, I go back to you. You must bear in mind, if Jamaica is broken down when you take charge, don't think your term in office, you'll be able to build it back up. So if you think it's okay to salivate when you think the name of Jamaica is being tarnished, you make a sad mistake. Be more questioning in your approach. Because the same stick will lick the black snake when lick the yellow one. And all of them are going to suffer. The entire country is going to suffer. And it never take a rocket scientist to see. I saw this from when, and I stood up on this platform here and tell you, do not lift the gag clause. Let the Integrity Commission prove its mettle by doing its investigations. Up to now, since the Integrity Commission has been born, I do not think it has published any independent report of its own. What we have right now, we have to seriously question the value of having an office of this nature.
And I hear some people applauding it because somehow it makes it appear that no office is sacrosanct, so they can lick the Prime Minister. We always knew that. We practice the rule of law here. This is not America. This is Jamaica. We always knew that we practice the rule of law and equality before the law. But it makes me tremble that you can have a report that treats the holder of the office of the Prime Minister in the way you have treated this office holder in this publication. If you do that to this office holder, what would you do to a councillor? Uno have a lot of questions to answer. Uno need to have a press conference, Integrity Commission, and do not make it one like Everton McFarlane's press conference. Enough of the SSL round here. I was reading the Integrity Commission release, the private sector organization headed full disclosure needed from Integrity Commission. I got to paragraph 1 and segued to my own thoughts. The report, which cited allegations of potential conflict of interest regarding the award of government contracts during 2006 to 9, was brought to local and international attention following its tabling in Parliament, absent the exculpatory ruling from the Director of Corruption Prosecution. The consequences of that egregious act. Who wrote this release? How did this become has? Me not reading no rubbish, you know. Me not reading no bad English. Cannot be the consequences has. The PSOJ should be putting out something like this. Your English cannot be in a wheelchair at the private sector organization of Jamaica. But I read it. After the break, we're gonna take your calls. We pray for guidance on all matters today. What a country. This is the Hotline. Headlines time. Thank you, listeners. We're back with you on the Hotline. We do have coming up on the Pulse with Public Health very soon with Health Minister and his team. And we have Inside Banking that comes up at 11:30. All right, so somebody has sent this volunteer this correction to the language in the report. Let me read it for you now then. Take note, PSOJ. So the consequences of that egregious act have resulted in irreparable damage being occasioned to the office of the Prime Minister, the highest elected office in the country by virtue of the public opprobrium, which understandably resulted from the partial disclosure. Further incalculable damage has been imposed on the country's brand, even as we arduously work to root out corruption at all stages of our society. Additionally, the office of the Integrity Commission has been brought into disrepute by the careless or intentional omission, which is lamentable given its integral role in holding public officials to the highest standard of integrity and ethics and the need to build and maintain public confidence in that entity's work. The PSOJ is demanding that a swift and thorough response be provided by the Integrity Commission as to the reason for the insufficiency of reporting on the conclusion of the investigation. In summary, the PSOJ believes that the Integrity Commission must remain an independent and non-partisan institution, and that its operation should be conducted in a manner that will promote transparency and accountability at all times. The citizens of Jamaica have a right to know the truth, and if the truth is that the processes of the Integrity Commission lack efficiency or competence, we must know, and consequences must follow, including but not limited to the resignation, they say, of whomever is responsible. youth arm of the JLP. I saw something coming from them last night calling for the resignation of the executive director of the Integrity Commission, Greg Christie. I want the youth arm to tell me what it understands. Here it is. Young Jamaica, it is. Young Jamaica, the youth arm of the JLP, demands a resignation of Greg Christie from the post of Executive Director of the Integrity Commission. It has become clear to young Jamaica and the wider Jamaican society that with Mr. Christie at the helm, the Integrity Commission has become warped with the seemingly main intention to tarnish and bring into disrepute the reputations of public officials. But what is the basis for this? And this is why I said we have to understand who does what, Because the easiest thing is to call for things to happen. But let's see what they say. In the latest instance, further to the Integrity Commission investigation report, dated 12 January 2023, it was determined that no charges be brought against the Prime Minister, as per the ruling of the Director of Corruption Prosecution on January 14, 2023. Now, all of them dates all over the place. We're going to a break. Thank you, listeners. We're back with you on the hotline. Listen to young Jamaica, no? However, the Greg Christie-led Integrity Commission. What do you mean Greg Christie-led? Mr. Christie doesn't lead the Integrity Commission. Delayed submitting the report to Parliament until February 14, 2023. The ruling was eventually released on February 16, 2020. Them dates all over the place. February 16 or yesterday. So why was I reading about this from Wednesday? Therefore, for over 24 hours, this action by the Commission allowed for the Prime Minister's reputation to be negatively reported in the international press as well, publicly demeaned in the eyes of Jamaican society. The delayed tabling of the report 1 month after it was produced is also very troubling. These strange actions, look at this now. No, I think something is fundamentally wrong with English in this country, These guys are not paying attention to what they're releasing. You think we must be reading this stuff here with the things you send out? That you can't even be bothered to know whether the subject and the verb, whether they're in agreement? These strange actions has tempted and tried, we're oft made to wonder, why should it be? Why should it be thus all the day long, while there are others living around us, while there are others living about us, never molested though in the wrong, never molested though in the wrong. Where's DT to come and track the song for me? Farther along, you'll know all about it. Farther along, you'll know all about it. Farther along, you'll understand why. Farther along, you'll understand why. Cheer up, my brother, live in the sunshine. Cheer up, my brother, live in the sunshine. We'll understand it all by and by. We'll understand it all by and by. I was a 50 cent for take her down. Oh, no, can't take me down. I don't know what. I don't know what. Where's that lady song video? I am tired of the bad English. I am tired. Jesus, I am tired. Young Jamaica, I am tired. PSOG, I'm tired. Anyhow, no give me one more press release for them, something upon it. I'm going to give one on Nancy Pelosi. You know, see what Nancy Pelosi do to Donald Trump's speech? Straight through the middle. I'm fed up, no? Fed up. Let me drink some water. Where did he? Drink some water, listeners. Yes, sir, some high quality H2O. My God. What a country this. Uno start writing a patwa because uno don't get the subject-verb agreement. Writing at the language where uno understand. I will learn to read it. And I will read it beautifully. But uno do not understand the rules of English, I no keep using it. So please, I am asking you to write in the language that you understand. Understandest thou what thou writest? My friends, I don't need pen. All right, back to business. I wonder if my comrade who comes soon, me, sir. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. 9268631. Talk up to me, come dainty. Hello?
Good morning, Miss Emily.
How are you, ma'am?
I am good, me there, I'm good.
Who is this?
Jennifer.
Jennifer, give me something to laugh about, because right, you know, something is not right.
Me not going to hear nothing to laugh. You're supposed to have enough on your plate.
Lord have mercy. Too much for monkey.
Them say if you take kin teeth, keep a heartburn. So kin teeth are for some of the heartburn where you get.
Yes, Miss Jennifer, good to have you.
Two things, two minor things. I want to ask you if you have any plans in your later life to go into politics.
Me, ma'am?
Yes, you.
Man, a plan got a wipe out. But no, Miss Jennifer, the short answer is I have no plans.
Okay. Good.
But, where the song say?
Yep, but you never know.
He leads,
you will follow.
Me, I will follow, but God now go lead me go there so.
Okay.
Because look here, let me tell you, I was saying to a friend of mine yesterday, Miss Jennifer. You see them integrity commission form where them have politicians that fill out? Where you have to put out your blood type, your DNA, how much pitney you have, where your pitney them do, the color of your eyes, all these disclosures. I don't think that I could do that. And I lift my hat to anybody who goes into public service for the paltry sums that are paid to them. You know how many MPs leave representational politics and end up being mendicants?
Because they're not smart like some of the other ones.
Well, I don't know if it's smart.
Being millionaires.
I'm yet to see the politician in Jamaica who has left a millionaire.
To see is the operative word.
But what's the point of living in luxury if you can't show it?
Well, they're happy about it. So.
Who? I'm yet to see the person.
The one. But that thing that you were saying about you want to see how much string hold up your pants foot and all of that. You see how much laugh you get? But don't need to ask for that?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay, I stand corrected.
Needs does ask for some disclosure. But as far as me concerned, guess what? Every single time me left so,
and travel for 1 hour and 15 minutes go Florida. For me come out at the airport, when me go use the kiosk.
Everybody know everything about you, every string.
And his iris scan. And your eye, them a take identify your facial recognition and fingerprint. And nobody in a silent like Jamaicans in an immigration line where them reach a Florida.
Then get plenty practice from the embassy hotel. I'm gone. I just wanted to know if you had plans for policy.
No, ma'am.
Okay, have a good day.
Pray for me whilst I pray for myself in Jesus'
we
name.
all have to pray for each
Thank
other.
you so much. Thank you very
all
much.
All right. Bye-bye.
Hi, boy. Toll free? Yes, toll free. Come. Serve, toll free.
Hello?
You're on the hotline, ma'am. How do you do?
Oh, I'm quite well, thank you.
Who is
This
this?
is Emily, and my name is Joyce Campbell, and you know me quite well from the National Consumers
I
League.
thought so, Miss Joyce. Good to have you.
But I had, many times I've tried to get you, and I'm never lucky on a Friday, but today is my day.
Yes, as it is mine.
And I believe why it is my day, because I want to congratulate you on what you have been saying this morning.
Really?
About the English, because I'm telling you, you're not the only one upset about the English in this country. We say that English is a second language, and if we report in English, if you report in your second language, you must report properly. I am an educator. I used to teach English in New York City. You understand? And I'm so happy that this one, and I'm going to say, not even the people who write, even from your station, sometimes people come on and they speak atrocious English. I heard from the JIS too, and myself, and I don't know if she'll be angry with me, Norma Brown Bell. Sometimes I call and she comes to say, oh Lord, our country is going down each day. And I'm sure that, I know for the radio station, she is always doing training, and Derek is doing training. But the amount of training we need to do, you see? And instead of learning to do things properly, we have become a nation of mischief people. We're mischief. And when we're not mischief, we are untidy, and we dirty up, and we do. And then we have things coming like, no, Dutch up Jamaica, because I have a problem right now. Where I have a wall behind me, my property, and an empty land, and somebody come here and empty, dirt, and let it overflow on my verge.
Yes.
And they break the verge, and part of the road actually say, if you break the verge, you have to fix it. Our government can charge you. You understand? And we don't look into those things. And I hear somebody talk to Clam Wellington, downtown Kingston, filthy and dirty. It's not downtown, didn't make it itself dirty. We, the people. When I was a little girl, I am a Kingstonian. I went to All Saints School and I went to Camperdown. And when I was a little girl, everybody have their broom. Every household. Some girl pour there. And if they don't use the broom, they have a tree thing where they tie up together.
The coconut bowl.
And make and sweep.
Yes.
People used to sweep and be clean. What has become of us?
Yes.
And I would love, when I heard you this one, I say, here goes another Dorothy dies from the grave. Yeah?
Too much.
Yes, what has become of us?
Yes.
Oh, we only want to tear down each other, and then we don't realize when you tear down your brother and your sister, you're tearing down Jamaica.
Thank you, Miss Joyce. Good to hear you. Gotta go to the break. I do have a feature coming up. God bless you. Thank you, listeners. We're back with you on the hotline. What did Crosskill just say to me? DT, Crosskill said, listen to me now. You might be many things, but you cannot sing. I'm sorry for you.
Somebody just tell me, say, 2 bills to take you down.
When
2 bills.
When me sing a Jennifer Hudson me here, me don't know when I hear, but a Jennifer Hudson me.
Boy, not talk about me tracking. You think it's easy to track and sing? It's not easy. Oh?
So where you did go? Set up?
We set it up right here. This is the hotline. On the pulse with public health, Dr. Christopher Tufton, are you there? In a moment, he will join us. I think Anna Kay will let me know until such time. Shall I take a call, DT? Shinehead? Let's do that, Shinehead. We'll take a call until. Sorry about that. 7615. Hello.
Oh, Honorable Empress, tell them don't trouble you in this.
Honorable, in this judgment.
Tell them don't trouble my good personality.
How are you, Lazarus?
Come up with bus one for them.
Go on.
So long, Rastafari, I call you. So long. So long, Rastafari, I call you.
So long.
For your enemies surround you,
trying to devour you. So long, Rastafari, call you. So long. Yes, Lazarus. Ja. Rastafari. Ever living, ever faithful, ever sure. Eh?
I think you're gone Africa, left me from what you mean, I hear you more, so.
Why? Them have me down under manners.
What? You have you under manners?
Have me under me there, though.
Okay. Manners is very good, you know?
Yes.
Now, we can be mannersable, you know?
Yes.
So manners is a good thing.
It's good to hear you. So good to hear you.
Tell me something differently. English as a state language, you know, state government. In many African countries today and countries that have a black population, if we as black people should ask ourselves this question, where is our government, black government, as Garvey did ask that question today? We could ask ourselves that question today.
Where is our black government?
Yeah.
So English is not the language of the white only, is it?
Why you say that?
Because it's just not.
Because through colonization, it comes our Commonwealth rule, it comes I and I as a black population in Africa and in the Western world here speaking English, you know?
Well,
and is the English system of government in Africa and in Jamaica. So all of the hardship we are reached us from the continent here to Jamaica is all because of the system, you know, these tyrants who scramble Africa and mash up Africa and take away the chosen people, you know, from Africa carry us here in the Western world, you know, Jamaica. But till now, I work without the cheap labor. So, no better make no dirty I and I unless we turn to Garvey and Rastafari, the strength and pride of an African sovereignty, you know? Black consciousness of ourselves as a people, you know?
Yes.
So we're calling upon King Charles, Prime Minister, most honorable.
King Charles?
Prime Minister Andrew Holness.
Yeah, everywhere he goes now, there are people demonstrating with placards, not my king.
Not them to them king.
In parts of England, yes?
Black people so?
Not black. People? White? Well, I suppose it's a mixture. Signs all over, not my king.
Not to them king.
So Jamaica is on its way. Well, we do intend to become a republic, to do away with this king.
So
can't be too soon for me.
When you say become a republic, is the next thing that the Barbados become a republic and then still remain on the Commonwealth, black stars under them skins.
Yes.
You know, so all we need to do with all of the education when we hear most people are both and which high school, then go from where they no go. You know? The man them send us amongst them, you know, amongst this world here, the evil world, the white world, to learn of their ways. And when they learn of their ways, they come out from among them and set a standard above them, you know. So our father, that black philosopher, black messiah, he don't set the standard already, you know.
Yes.
As one writer would say, oh, let me see thy footprint
Yes.
And in them plant our own, you know?
Yes.
So as a black population, you know, we stand up as a proud black independent African nation, well, kingdom nationwide in the world, you know, from Jamaica here, you know?
Yes.
Straight to Ethiopia, crown it, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
That's the only way to go, because that's all we have, you know, looking like good. All we have, a Rastafari, a Marcus Garvey, teaching philosophy. Out of that appear colonialism in this judgment, yeah. Like what they may laugh, you know, I will drive in adoration of King Charles, the church, where we are talking about Kaima the sovereign, you know, the Church of England, you know.
Yes. He's the head of the Church of England, yes.
Me have all of them title and them belt, you know. Them say him the deity, the representative of God, the supreme ruler.
All them are something, yeah.
What a whole heap of title you have under team belt. You know? So, make we turn to ourselves as a people, because we left ourselves undone, you know, and busy in the white men affair. That's why this is a retreat today.
What?
We are retreat.
What?
As a people.
What retreat?
Divide and rule, all them scramble Africa. We can't stand up.
Yes.
You know, think we have some tyrants with them system of government who control the wealth and resources in the continent and in a them overseas colony. You know, see it, and we're under poverty. And when that's done, that's a man control the wealth and resources in your country, you know. What happened to the people?
Poor.
Britain system of government. So until come more than church only come bang belly pick me, Lord God, then wicked, you see. Propaganda is a sure wagwan. And then is the cause of it. You know?
Good
the evil world, Britain and America, then is the cause of it.
Good to hear you, as always. Stand
and
strong.
Still, so
yes.
Don't make no one take away your joy.
No.
When you laugh, you look sweeter, yeah?
Then I must, thank you.
We then take with her.
Thank you so much. Take care, Lazarus.
All right, and remember, repatriation is the only development for us as a people to return home to a nation wealth kingdom in Africa with all its natural wealth and resources. It's the I and I, black sons and daughters in the world, you know, born and unborn. Take care, honorable, good personality.
All right, brilliant. We've not been able to reach the minister just yet for On the Pulse with Public Health. I go to 8631. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Who goes there?
East Central.
East Central, welcome.
I'll go on, Mr. Millie. Yeah, the Rasta Bill of Vibes, man, you see it?
A Bill of Vibes, yes.
Yeah, man.
And we all go on. Nothing more for we do.
They are putting work.
That's so good. Every week you call me, you're working, so that's brilliant.
Yeah, man. You stretch me this morning, no? You give me an hour and a half before me can come in.
Good. Good. Sometimes you listen.
Me know. Me know. But me there again to stretch your back, no?
Well?
Last week we did discuss the matter surrounding the poker and the ruling. So we are going to look at the things led to the ruling, the final ruling. Because you remember the Bar Association comments on action on the, I think the 13th of October 2014. Yeah.
2014?
Yeah, man. Yeah. And in spite of that, when the last ruling was made in, I think, on July 31st, 2020, we heard that attorney at law will be no longer to report suspicious activity on their clients.
This is which ruling? This is the Court of Appeal one?
Yes, please.
It wasn't 2000. So, it wasn't
2020.
It wasn't 2020. 2020?
Yeah.
No, that must be.
Remember the full court?
Yeah, the full court.
Yeah. And then they get probably there was an injunction. Yeah, man.
Yes, there was an injunction before. I think Justice Sykes granted an injunction, and then it was heard by the full court with Justice Paulette Williams, David Fraser, and I think Sharon George.
Yeah.
And then that was appealed to the Court of Appeal, but the decision of the Court of Appeal came out in maybe 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering about
2020. Yeah, man.
Oh, it's 2020. That's right. You're so right. Yes.
July 31st, 2020.
For me. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, man. That initial stage when you hear that lawyer will be no longer burdened to share client's information with the authorities. How did you feel at that instant?
No, well, I don't know about any feeling. I think what I'm interested in when I hear a case coming out is to read to see what implications there are for me as an attorney. Yeah. And that particular decision was over 200 and odd pages long.
Yeah, I understand.
And then I learned that an appeal was to be made. So you know that whatever decision of the court is going to be based on the outcome of the appeal. So you sort of wait.
Yeah.
And then the Privy Council came out with this decision.
No, the appeal ruling at first.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So
I'm not going to the Privy Council. I'm going to reach a say.
So I always understood that after the appeal ruling that a final appeal will be made to the Privy Council. So you sort of hold whatever feelings you think you have until Privy Council. Hang on a second. Let me take a break.
Okay.
Newport Forsand Jamaica Limited, the first on the land, blenders of high-quality fertilizers. The time by Newport Forsand Jamaica Limited is
10:45.
You're now listening to Emily Shields Talk with Substance on Hotline. Radio Jamaica, active for the good of our nation.
In Central, I have to go to Minister Tufton, who we just got for this paid feature from the ministry on the Pulse with Public Health. Minister Dr. Tufton, Health and Wellness. He joins me now. Hi. Morning, Minister.
Morning.
How are you?
Morning. Not bad. How are you?
Very well, thank you. You have abbreviated your time.
Yes, I'm away, and it seems that the connection was very bad. Sorry about that.
That's fine, but go ahead and tell us what you want us to hear from your ministry today.
Well, time, if there are callers who want to discuss any particular issue, I'd prefer to go right into that. But
yes,
the past week has been, the challenges continue. We're continuing to build out our infrastructure. We launched a new program dealing with maternal care that our Minister of State is driving around providing support to mothers and their newborn.
Mm-hmm.
And that we think is important because the development of the human potential starts from the womb. So part of it is to incentivize mothers to come to the clinics to benefit from a supporting cot. We used to call that a crib, and other inputs for them getting their monthly checkups so that when it's time to have the child, the doctor knows exactly what's happening. You'd be surprised how many pregnant mothers, expectant mothers, go to the hospital on the verge of having the child, and oftentimes not knowing what the situation is. So we're trying to see if we can incentivize and provide some support for that, but that is worth mentioning.
Yes. All right, good. So let's see who we have online. We have 876-926-2178. Jennifer?
Hello, good morning, Mr. Shields.
Morning. Minister is listening. Good to have you. What's your question?
All right, first time calling the station.
Great having you, Jennifer.
All right. Mr. Tufton.
Morning.
My name is Jennifer, as you heard. I've been diagnosed with SLE from 2009. Visiting KPH Hospital, that's where I go for my checks. In 2013, I was diagnosed with osteonecrosis of both hips. I was asked to get implants, which I could not afford. So in 2019, I go to the compassionate unit and I got help to get the implants, which I have in place. From 2019, I've been trying to get a surgery date because the COVID came in. The first date I got was in March 2020 for one of the surgery to be done. However, I've been having a challenge. Yesterday, I went to the doctor and they told me that they don't have bed space because of trauma case. First, it was COVID. Now, before that, 3 weeks ago, I went and they told me that they're trying to clear up the trauma cases. Yesterday I went. All they are telling me, they still having issue with bed space, all sorts of stuff going around.
This is where? Around. Where did you go, Jennifer?
At KPH.
KPH. Yes.
At times I'm unable to move. I have to be I'm on fentanyl patch along with other meds.
Yes.
It's unbearable. The pain is unbearable.
Right. Yes.
Right. So I'm sorry to hear about that, Jennifer. What I'll say is that we have had a significant backlog of cases from COVID, which is why we have the code here, where we are outsourcing some of those surgical procedures. So I'm gonna ask the producer to take your number and we will follow up, because if KPH can't do it for whatever reason, there are 4 hospitals in the corporate area that we have contracted out surgical procedures to. So I'll find out why you're having issues even with the bed space challenges. It should be able to be done elsewhere if it falls in that category. Otherwise, I have to say for public information that part of the other side effect of COVID has been the out of control chronic cases, because people weren't going to the clinics. The diabetic cases, the other cases have really ballooned, and as a result, we have seen more hospitalization than normal in over the last 6 to 8 months. But we'll try and work with it to sort that out.
Yeah. And the other thing, hold on, Jennifer, let's make sure we have your details. Hold on.
Yes,
the other thing, Minister, you need to tell the people how the road traffic crashes, how the the maiming of different people, how they impact the space for surgery.
Significantly. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I said it on this program, but 5 months ago, I went to Sub Hospital. 80% of the male surgical ward bed space was occupied by bike accident victims. 80%. There were more broken limbs in that ward than I have ever seen. I mean, and it's all as a result of persons just not obeying the road code or riding under the influence, so it is a real challenge.
Yes.
Real challenge.
All right, Buster. Hi, morning.
Morning, Mr. Shields.
Good to hear you. Minister is listening.
MP and Mr. Shields, I'm that good at English, so if my English
talk
is
your
broken,
talk.
I don't want you laugh at me.
No.
My
callers are fine. Go ahead.
Yeah, a couple months ago, right? I spoke on the program about some funds, and then you attacked me like a tigress.
Me?
Right? Yes.
Oh, Jesus.
But, all right, let me tell you something. I spoke to the minister about funds that if you go to the public hospital and then don't have the equipment, and in refer to, there's $1 billion set aside for such, right?
Yes.
And you asked me, when I said you attacked me, you said, what I said that, what happened?
No, you were asking a hypothetical situation, as I recall it.
Exactly.
Yes.
So what I'm saying now, ma'am, right?
You have a real situation?
2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, a gentleman said went at KPH to do some eye test.
Yes.
And KPH, the machine wasn't working, and then referring to UA for $600,000. And this gentleman could never afford it. So what I'm saying, ma'am, if that was the case, the KPH should have just given the gentleman a referral or some document, take to UC, and then the Ministry of Labour Health would offset the cost.
Yes, Minister, how does that work, since we do have at least one instance?
So the outsourcing of diagnostics are specific to things like CT scans, X-rays, or eye examination. If machine at KPH isn't working, then UE clearly would have a workable machine. And by the way, hopefully by the end of March, we'll have the Cuban Eye Care program backup at St. Joseph's, and so that would be a good option. But in the meantime, UA is semi-public, semi-private, so they do charge for certain procedures. If they are the only ones, because maybe they have that kind of machine, the best option would be to apply for the compassionate funds for support. And many people do that, including that person. They could actually do that. But,
Jennifer just mentioned that as well.
Yes, exactly. And Jennifer benefited from that. So maybe it's a lack of information. Maybe KPH should have explained that to the individual. But eye care examination, it doesn't fall under the outsourcing of diagnostics. It would be like CT scans, X-rays, that sort of thing.
So, Buster, tell them next time to apply for the compassionate program?
Okay, ma'am. But the minister never explained that to
He
us.
didn't at the time, no.
Okay, ma'am. Have a good day, ma'am. And MP, we like to see you. Right?
Go, yeah. All right. All right, so we have Charlotte. Hi, Charlotte. Morning. Welcome. The minister is listening.
Good morning, Minister. It's a
Morning.
pleasure talking to you.
Thanks.
Yes, so my concern is that the eye clinic, I was wondering if, because what I noticed now, you have done something wonderful where you have the public-private partner health care, and that is good. But I still want to find out how best you can put into place the eye care, because if people have to go to the eye clinic like on a basis, I don't even know if it's a regular, but it's on a basis, and they have to stay like 4-6 months. Like I, for example, I'm attending the Kingston Public Eye Clinic, and it so happened that last year I went to the drugstore to fill my prescription, and they happened to be throwing out the old ones, and they mistakenly throw away my card. But I still remember the appointment date. And when I went back, they said that I was not on the system. And however, they had me there going round and round and round, and I was really getting confused until they gave me a date. And when I got this other date, like in February, the 6th, yes, they found out that the eye pressure was way high. So all the time I was taking the medication, but there was no tabbing to know what was happening.
So get to the quick question.
So the question is, why couldn't you get on that public-private partner eye care, just like the same you did on the public-private
Other years. So first of all,
thank you, Charlotte. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you for that question, and sorry to hear about your condition. It's interesting you raise public-private partnership around eye care, because we are actually fleshing out an eye screening approach, public-private partnership, which I'll speak to later on, maybe in the sectorial, because it is an underserved area, particularly starting with our young people in the schools. So you'll hear more about that. But in the meantime, the Cuban eye care program, which I mentioned earlier, the Cuban technicians came into the island. They have tuned up the machinery at St. Joseph's. I went and visited myself. We expect a larger contingent to come in by March, end of March, the latest. And they will do from screening right through to surgeries. And that will take some of the burden off KPH. The loss of your file, which is a separate issue, is not acceptable. This is what Health Information System is hoping to solve. So just hang on in there. Know that you have an appointment. If we hope that you'll get through on time, but in time enough to satisfy the issues. But the Cuban Eye Care program is back on stream, and it will take some of that burden off.
All right. Thank you, Minister. Final word in wrapping up, because we got to go to headlines soon.
Well, just to ask Jamaicans to continue to recognize the importance of taking care of themselves. The chronic ailments, as we discussed last time, really a crisis for us. We're going to have to speak more about screening. Early detection saves lives. I think that would be my advice to all of us. Let's get our health checks, or our checkup, as we call it in Jamaica.
All right. Thank you. All the best to you. And yes, talk next week, God willing. That's the Minister of Health and Wellness, Dr. Christofton, for On the Pulse with Public Health. It's Headlines Time. Thank you, listeners. We're back with you on the hotline. We were told that this release was coming sometime today. We now have it in hand. We have a release from the Integrity Commission. Media release, official statement of the Integrity Commission dated today, 17 February 2023. It says the Integrity Commission has taken note of some comments that have been made by various individuals and groups in respect of the report of the Commission's Director of Investigation and the ruling of the Director of Corruption Prevention in the matter of Westcon Construction Limited. The Commission takes the opportunity to inform the public as follows. 1. The Integrity Commission Act requires that where in a report to the Commission, the Director of Investigation is satisfied that there are reasonable grounds for suspecting that there has been a breach of a code of conduct by a public officer or parliamentarian, or where there is suspicion that an act of corruption or an offence under the Act has been committed, the Commission shall submit the report to Parliament for tabling. There is no provision in the Act mandating the tabling of a ruling by the Director of Corruption Prosecution. 3. Notwithstanding that there is no provision for the tabling of a ruling, the Commission has taken the position that in the interest of full and early disclosure, such a ruling ought to be communicated to Parliament and the public advised. 4. The ruling of the Director of Corruption Prosecution in a matter where a report has been sent to Parliament cannot be communicated to anyone before the report has been tabled. This is so by virtue of Section 53(3) of the Integrity Commission Act, which states that until the tabling of a report in Parliament, all matters under investigation by the Director of Investigation or any other person involved in such investigation shall be kept confidential, and no report or public statement shall be made by the Commission or any other person in relation to the initiation or conduct of the investigation. Coming back to that, number 4. In the instant case, the report having been sent to the Director of Corruption Prosecution as required by law, she submitted her ruling dated 12 January 2023 to the Commission. The commissioners, not having had the opportunity to read, understand, and discuss it, took time to do so. The report was sent to Parliament and was tabled 14 February 2023. Confirmation of the tabling was communicated to the Commission on the 15th February 2023. The Commission's review of the ruling having been finalized, instruction was given on the said 15th February 2023 for it to be published, and the publication was done on the 16th February 2023. It is worth repeating and stressing that publication of the ruling could not be done before or simultaneously with the report. It had to await the tabling of the report. That is the law as crafted by Parliament and referred to earlier. The Integrity Commission wishes to stress that the Integrity Commission Act makes the various directors independent of each other. The Director of Information and Complaints receives complaints. He filters such complaints to the appropriate director, usually the Director of Investigation, who then conducts an investigation if he thinks necessary. After such investigation, he submits his report to the Commission for tabling in Parliament.
where the Director of Investigation is of the view that the matter should be referred to the Director of Corruption Prosecution to determine whether or not prosecution should be instituted, the report is then forwarded to the Director of Corruption Prosecution and subsequently to Parliament for tabling. The Director of Corruption Prosecution, who is not subject to direction or control of any person or body in relation to the conduct of prosecutions based on Section 34(3), then decides whether or not, on the basis of the evidence contained in the report of the Director of Investigation, prosecution should be instituted. That decision is then sent to the commissioners. The Integrity Commission wishes to assure the public that it takes its task seriously. It rejects any assertion that there has been a misstep in the proceedings. In all matters under the Commission's purview, every effort is made to follow provisions of the law strictly. The ruling of the Director of Corruption Prosecution in a matter does not change the content of the report of the Director of Investigation. They are independent in their operations. The Director of Investigation and Director of Corruption Prosecution are given separate and distinct roles under the Act. One investigates, reports, and recommends, the other rules on what is recommended. The commissioners reviewed the Director of Investigation's report and saw no reason to distance ourselves. That should be distance ourselves from it. The Director of Investigation was saying that offenses may have been committed based on the evidence that he'd seen. As he was required by law to do, he referred it to the Director of Corruption Prosecution for her to consider whether offenses were in fact committed. It was a matter for the Director of Corruption Prosecution to decide, and decided. Notwithstanding that, the law required that the report be sent to Parliament and be tabled before anything could be said about the report. There has been strict compliance with the law. Adverse comments in respect of the Commission or its Director of Investigation are unwarranted and misconceived. Finally, the Executive Director of the Commission has no control over the content of an investigation report or ruling. Now, this is the problem. This release is telling us, firstly, that by virtue of Section 34(3), it says the Director of Corruption Prosecution, who is not subject to the direction or control of any body or person in relation to the conduct of prosecutions, she then decides whether or not, on the basis of the evidence contained in the report of the Director of Investigation, prosecution should be instituted. That decision is then sent to the commissioners. If the Director of Corruption Prevention is not subject to the direction or control of anybody, when the report comes to you, the commissioners, as you say that it does, why is there a review of the Director of Corruption Prevention's conclusions, as the letter over Mr. Christie's signature says? Since you have no control over it, why do you need to review it so as to cause a delay? Because based on this, you took a while to review her conclusions. Why are you reviewing her conclusions if she's not subject to direction or control of anybody? That's one. Two, part of the problem is you within the commission, you put yourselves in these Chinese walls where you're operating in silos. You tell us that the Director of Investigations does his thing, the Director of Complaints does his thing, and you get the impression that everybody's operating in separate boxes, completely unintertwined with the next one. And it appears then that only the commissioners know the results of the Director of Investigation's report, and only the commissioners know the result of the Director of Corruption Prevention conclusion. In the instance where you know that your Director of Investigation recommends that the Director of Corruption Prevention looks at the report to see if there's anything to charge, and you also know that the Director of Corruption Prevention is saying that there's not enough to charge, do you not think it fair and in the public interest that you manage better the output of the information to prevent the public from getting all frenzied as we have done in this instance? I do not think it is really appropriate for the commissioners to say that pursuant to a strict reading of 53.3, they have to table the Director of Investigation report first before anything else can be done. Because when you table the report, what it did on Wednesday was to cause the media to say that the Prime Minister is being referred to the Director of Corruption Prosecution for a determination on whether he's to be charged, when you knew at the time that the Director of Corruption Prosecution had already completed her report. The letter that you sent to the Speaker and to the President of the Senate, there must be a way in which you can say to them, in light of the chronology of events that we know, but which you do not yet know, we are tabling this report from the Director of Investigation pursuant to so-and-so of the law, but we will ask that immediately after the tabling of this report, that you also table and publish this particular conclusion, because if not, it is going to present some incongruity in the minds of the public. The problem is that you are the only repository of the complete knowledge of the situation, and we are getting it drip by drip. So the first 24 drip becomes, Prime Minister under investigation? And the second drip makes everything like a damp squid. I don't even get from this the lessons that are being learned, that are to be learned. You have to tell us the lessons that are learned, because this law doesn't handicap the Commission in the way the Commission has handicapped itself. You can, within the strictures of the law, still stick to the letter of the law without making the reading of the law so awkward as to create the type of situation that has been created in this instance. And I do not understand from number 8 of the press release, which just came to hand, how can you say that the Director of Corruption Prosecution is not subject to the direction or control of anyone, yet still the letter from the Integrity Commission over the signature of Greg Christie tells us that her report was being reviewed by the Commission? Why was the report being reviewed if you can't direct nor control her? And am I to understand that the Director of Investigations is fully at large, meaning he goes, he does his investigations, he comes to whatever conclusions he comes to, and he sends a report to the Commission? What is the role of the commissioners in either saying to him, you've not made out the case here, or yes, you have made out the case, but the language is a bit loose in this area. I do not get a feel as to the overall role of the commissioners in this siloed operation of all of the directors. I understand the need for some appearance of autonomy and independence of each individual, but you are putting yourselves too much in a box for one commission of parliament that sits in the same building, that is to have a good symbiotic relationship with sufficient degree of independence. You appear to be operating too much in a silo, and know that this thing is coming. You're not saying what the lessons are. So you say she's independent, but why did Mr. Christie tell us that you reviewed her ruling? Because what I'm hearing is she had a conclusion based the 12th of January, but the commissioners didn't get to review it for some time. If you have no say in the conclusion, what is the importance of the lag in your review? We have to hear the lessons coming out of this, and we don't hear it yet.
Thank you, listeners. We're back with you on the hotline, and we're going back to this press release from the Integrity Commission official statement, and it has placed below the official statement the names of all of the commissioners of the commission. The commission, and remember, no, we're dealing with a retired president of the Court of Appeal and a retired member of the bench, Justice Hibbert. I think Justice Hibbert taught me. Was it Justice Hibbert who taught me? No, that was Justice Harrison. Taught me criminal practice and procedure. God rest his soul. But I do know Justice Hibbert well. Solid legal minds. You don't get higher in the judiciary in Jamaica than being the president of the Court of Appeal, as the Honorable Mr. Justice Seymour Panton was. Very bright, very affable person for whom I have a lot of respect. But I respectfully feel challenged by the constant interpretation of the Integrity Commission of Section 53.3 of the Integrity Commission Act. The Integrity Commission continued to use 53.3 as a gag clause. A gag clause ad infinitum. And I heard this matter being debated in the Parliament that is looking at the operation of the Integrity Commission, and they have made it quite clear. Before I say what they have said, let me go to what the Commission says at paragraph 4 of its statement. It says the ruling of the Director of Corruption Prosecution in a matter where a report has been sent to Parliament cannot be communicated to anyone before the report has been tabled. This is so by virtue of 53.3 of the Integrity Commission Act, which states that until the tabling of a report in Parliament, all matters under investigation by the Director of Investigation or any other person involved in such investigation shall be kept confidential, and no report or public statement shall be made by the Commission or any person in relation to the initiation or conduct of the investigation. Now, let's take what has happened recently. So the Director of Investigation completed his report.
That report was sent to Parliament for tabling. I do not think it appropriate that the Commission is reading that if it's sent simultaneously under confidential cover, a note to Parliament, not to anyone, this is the Parliament that it is obligated to report to. If you send a note under confidential cover to Parliament to say, immediately following the tabling of the report from the Director of Investigation, we ask that you cause to be tabled this report from the Director of Corruption Prosecution for reasons which we cannot now state, but which you will see in due course. You think that doing that, there's no reason why you can't send under confidential cover that thing with the instructions that I just said, and make sure when you give the written instructions, you actually say it to somebody. This thing contains, the commissioners wish you to know that this thing contains a conclusion from which the public would benefit if they have near in time publication of this report, these conclusions from the Director of Corruption Prevention. Do that. It cannot serve the public interest. It cannot be fair that you think you have to wait in silence until the tabling of the report because you're sticking savagely to the language of 53.3, which the way you have read it contorts the proper meaning of the thing, especially in the situation at hand. And my confusion again. The Commission says, in the instant case, the report having been sent to the Director of Corruption Prosecution as required by law, she submitted her ruling dated 12th of January 2023 to the Commission. The commissioners, not having had the opportunity to read, understand, and discuss it, took time to do so. And then they tell us at paragraph 8 of the complete autonomy and independence of the Director of Corruption Prosecution, meaning that she's not subject to direction or control of any person. So why do you review something that you have no power to change, causing a time lag? The law needs to be read in a way that it, when practically applied, it doesn't create an awful situation. Because I think even on the literal interpretation of the law, which is preferred, and that we go to first, I don't read the law the way it has been read by the Commission from the very beginning. But crucially, at paragraphs 11 and 12, they say that adverse comments in respect of the Commission or its Director of Investigation, those comments are unwarranted and misconceived, and the Executive Director, that's Greg Christie, has no control over the content of an investigation report or ruling. It's meditation and news time. Welcome back, listeners. Good to have you. Time now for X and Y. DT?
I don't know why the studio is so full. Yeah.
Oh, really? I'm going over there, so.
All right, I'm going to just get them out of here.
Yes, man.
Get them out of here.
It's my time.
You sing a song? You sing a song?
X with a pan. X time.
Oh, X. Yeah. So what about Y?
Yeah.
X time.
Yeah, X.
X amount of time.
X, yes. Wrong time. Wrong bang. you miss me singing, you know.
Well,
you never hear me at track and sing same time.
Well, the feedback I got, the review not so hot.
This is the hotline.
Oh,
it has to be hot. I'm sorry for them.
We're talking about singing. You used to call radio stations and make requests when you were growing up?
No, sir. I would call radio station. We'd have to go out a phone box. We go stand up in a line.
How far from house that would have?
At the time, 13 miles, 4. And then...
And a 4.
4.
A 4.
4.
Yes. So, so you never called the radio station?
No, sir. You know who used to call the radio station? When I was at Manning's?
Who?
Mushette.
Ron?
Yeah.
Oh.
Ron used to call Barry G every day from the payphone right at Manning's. So I used to stand up right there and watch him go call and get through to Barry G. Yeah?
He was interested in radio from
them time.
Yes, from the early years.
Mm-hmm. But you used to call?
I think I called once.
What did you request?
I never requested anything. I just wanted to talk.
What did you talk about?
I don't remember. Oh. I remember. I think it was a music show though. And I think I called Mrs. Gludan one time too.
Yes?
Yes, but I don't remember what I discussed.
How could you not?
Maybe I was nervous.
Yes.
I was nervous.
Nerves, natural.
Yeah. When you're calling and you realize no, you're on the radio and everybody's going to be hearing you, you get nervous, man. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I used to run a program that was called The Request Line.
I have a request, sir.
You have a request? No, I know, so you have to say it. You can't say so.
Good afternoon, Mr.
No, I say Ed 631. Good afternoon.
Hi, Mr. Thompson.
Hey, welcome to the X and Y radio show.
Can I make a request, please?
What will be your request this afternoon, madam?
Can you play what is the song name again?
Sing it for me. Let's see if we can find that one for you.
I heard a little rumors last night. Rumors last night.
Oh, you're talking about Dangerously. That's
yes.
the one by Barrington Levy?
Somebody told me you ain't doing it right. Is that it?
No, but I want to play this one again.
No, you want to play that one first?
All right, hold on. Let's play. Can
I please get my request? Thank you. Yeah. Whoa.
All right,
too dangerous.
Stop it. You're too dangerous.
Reaching out.
Well, you know, there was I got this one yesterday. Somebody called the radio station and was making a request. So he called and he said, I would like to hear Wednesday Night. Do you know that one? Wednesday Night?
Mm-mm.
And so, well, the presenter never knew it either. So he decided to ask him to sing the song, just like how you did a short while ago. And the man started and said, Wednesday night has come. Hold on. Let me see if we find it. Wednesday night. Listen. Wednesday night has come.
Yes, I agree. No more Wednesday night.
When the night
sing it now. Wednesday night has come.
And the land is dark.
Wednesday night has come.
Wednesday night has come.
It's beautiful.
He never heard us sing about Wednesday night.
Wednesday night works.
Of course. Wednesday night has come and the land is dark. Only dark on Wednesday night.
Yep.
And the moon is the only night you will see.
Yep.
Only on Wednesday night, not on Friday night. Yeah, so that was his request. But the song I kind of did want to go back to a little bit. It's because I got an understanding the other day. Somebody gave me an understanding of the song. You remember some time ago I played this song. Everybody Ballin'. You remember the song?
Mm-hmm.
This one.
Everybody bawling.
Now, remember there's a line in it that says everybody is bawling. All right, so they borrowed a little salt and can't return it because they are bawling. Bawling for love. So the explanation I got is that them borrow a little salt, meaning them just get salt. If I hear the expression...
No, sir. What does it mean?
Hold on, no, man. You never hear the expression?
Yeah, you're
why
salt.
You salt bad?
You're bad luck and follow you. Mongoose run, go back in the bush.
So the explanation is, I still don't get it. The explanation is that I salt them salt, why they can't get no love. That no make it, eh? Them borrow the salt and the salt stay with them?
No. The lyrics don't make sense. Full stop.
Rubbish.
If you try to attach the two, what happened, you see? Let me tell you something. You see, back in the days, you have rhyming couplets. That's what music is. Poetry too. You do 2 lines at every other line.
I try rhyme.
Rhyme. Every two consecutive line, rhyme. Everybody bawling. Well, this is not really rhyming couplet, but bawling for love don't rhyme with whatever. But he made up the chorus, and him have to find something to put in a verse. And him just put in something in a verse, and when he come down to the chorus, because it's not really meant to give a reason why everybody bawling for love, because just come in, because just did it.
And he chat foolishness.
Chat foolishness, but it sounds good. I'm a rhythm. He didn't expect that in 2023 to be dissecting the lyrics.
No, certainly did not.
Ahu him? Ahu?
What's his name again? The Melodians? Yeah.
The Melodians, yes.
But by the way, you know that nothing rhymes with orange.
No.
No what?
In what how does that rhyme ever? Give me a context. Say it, let me hear if it rhymes.
Oh, so you're saying
it doesn't.
It doesn't rhyme. Oh. So when they say nothing rhymes with orange, they are correct.
Oh, you're saying as a statement that there's no word that rhymes with the word orange?
No, that's not how I say it. I say
yeah, you're saying
they
nothing.
say that nothing rhymes with orange.
No, that's what I'm saying. So you're saying that there's no word at all.
No, man, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying they say that nothing rhymes with orange.
Oh, so they are saying that there's no word that rhymes with orange.
I don't know if it's no word. Nothing rhymes with orange.
How about gringe? Gringe, orange.
Well,
binge, orange.
The long and short of it is that,
orange.
Like you said it before, nothing rhymes with orange.
Yeah.
Because nothing can rhyme with orange.
No, I think something can rime with orange, but not nothing.
Nothing, not nothing.
No, it's right. So the word nothing does not rhyme with orange.
Does not.
It doesn't mean that there is nothing that rhymes with orange. Okay. Language. Ah? Boy.
Is proper grammar that?
No, sir.
Nothing rhymes with orange. They say that nothing rhymes with orange. But that's a lie. Nothing does not rhyme with orange.
The word nothing does not rhyme with the word orange. But there are things that rhyme with orange.
Okay, then.
Orange, syringe, on the hinge. Come and take me and let the go do a binge.
Go on, rhyme.
Something like that, on the fringe. Lots of words.
You say them hang it up on a hinge.
Hang it up on a hinge.
By the way,
oi.
So there's the other day we mentioned the word cobbage, which is a word that we heard while we were growing up. And then somebody reminds me that there is a part of your body they used to call your cobbage hole.
Yes. You know where that is?
It's where? Under your neck as well?
Not under your neck. the back of your neck round there, so if your cabbage roll deep.
Oh, it's round. It's the back of your neck. You're right.
If the cabbage roll deep.
So you mean?
Your cabbage can't done. DT, stand up and see if your cabbage roll deep.
Look at it. Take a picture. Come here, Anake.
Anake, if forget about the cabbage roll, let me see your cabbage roll.
Yes. So, yeah, I just remember now, the cabbage roll was really at the back of your head.
That sink.
Yeah, going down
right
to your neck.
Right at the sort of nape of the neck there.
Look at the cabbage roll, the Anake.
Make sure it's full out, you know.
If it deep.
It must have full fat. Fat must have full it out by now. PHATT.
You have to go look at them in this one.
No, sir. Me a kind somebody.
Cabbage roll go, I know.
Yeah. Let me see.
But it doesn't determine.
We have to compare. Maybe compare cabbage roll.
It doesn't determine
anything. You're most deeper than for me.
Yeah,
if you see any chalk in my hair here, make sure you put black on it. No chalk talk around here. Well, as Anake takes a picture of my cabbage hole, that's going to be X. Look here, me not no cabbage hole. Me a kind somebody.
Did you see mine?
Yes. That's X and Y.
Listening to Radio Jamaica, the voice of the nation.
What a hassle, Maxine. Me have to go to 3 different pharmacies if full one prescription.
Then, Beverly, you never hear me talk about Deans yet. You can get...
Thank you, listeners. We're back with you on the hotline. I'm joined by the General Secretary of the People's National Party, Dr. Dayton Campbell, who wanted to come to talk with me about my commentary about the actions, the statements by the PNP leader, Mark Golding, who appears to be constantly salivating about anything that is seemingly bad press about Jamaica, and recently his comments in the immediate aftermath of the tabling of the report from the Director of Investigation, referring that report to the Director of Corruption Prosecution in relation to Andrew Holness. Dr. Campbell, good to have you on the hotline.
Hi, pleasant afternoon and pleasant afternoon to your listeners.
Good. Go ahead. You take issue with my comments.
Well, it's good to speak to you.
Yes.
I've been one of my favorite journalists. I heard that you had a certain point of view, and I thought to myself that I would come to shed some light on the matter because I know you're a very reasonable individual.
Yes. And you think it's the absence of light why I came to that conclusion?
No, I'm shedding some additional light on the situation. As in perspective, let's put it as perspective.
Okay.
So it is easy in the aftermath, knowing that the Director of Corruption Prosecution had responded in January for somebody to formulate a certain view.
Can I pause you there?
Yes.
Frankly, I formed the views about Mr. Golding's comments even before knowing of the conclusions of the Director of Corruption Prosecution's conclusions.
No, but let us examine it and look at the chronology of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You are getting a report tabled in the Parliament by the anti-corruption watchdog to say that based on their investigation, they're referring the Prime Minister for possible prosecution. Mm-hmm. That is what is known at the time.
Yes.
I think that Comrade Golding was also very responsible because he went as far as saying he's not calling for resignation, but he's asking that the Prime Minister, based on that, those facts that were present at that time, that he should take a leave of absence until the matter has been ruled on, which I thought was very measured and responsible.
Measured?
It was measured and responsible.
In which country? How does the leave of absence work for a Prime Minister, anyway?
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
Remember now what the accusation was. At the Director of Corruption Prosecution ruled that the Prime Minister should be prosecuted, what would have been your view? No, your views this morning would have been what?
No.
There was a cloud hanging over the head of the leader of the country.
No.
And it was being carried in international media as well.
Well, we don't need to speculate about what is not. Let's work with what is for the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I go back to my position. You have a report tabled in the Parliament, and on the basis of the report, we are told that Andrew Holness has been referred to the Director of Corruption Prosecution. Not only do you have that line in the report, but you have the ability to read the report for yourself and look at the bases on which such referral is made to the Director of Corruption Prosecution. And when I examined the bases on which the report was made to the director from Wednesday afternoon, I thought, what absolute ridiculous near buffoonery this was. But even before I could even think my thoughts and put them out, here is the leader of the opposition pouncing to say that it is unprecedented that you're going to have a referral of a prime minister, and it is tainting Jamaica's image in the international sphere just by the mere referral and nothing more. Even though, and then he went on to say that it is in relation to tens of millions of dollars, which is completely untrue, Dr. Campbell. Completely.
No, it is not untrue.
But let me tell you why I say it's untrue. The portions that the report makes mention of Andrew Holness in relation to Westcon, they relate to 2 contracts awarded by SDC, where SDC said Andrew Holness wrote a letter to them recommending Westcon. One for 1.45 million and one for 375 million. When I add them up, I get 1.825. So if I've missed some other figure, please shed light on that.
Let's go. Let me try again.
Yes.
You get a report, and what was done by Mark Golding is not dissimilar from what was done by the same Andrew Holness. When there was a report from a organ of Parliament that said that there was a possible conflict of interest with Richard Azan and the Spalding market, Andrew Holness said he would not go to Parliament to sit with Richard Azan. He was just a state minister. No, a similar thing was done with the Prime Minister of the country.
You don't justify. You don't justify for me. You shouldn't justify for me what has happened with something, because I'm trying to remember what my comments were at that time.
No, what I'm saying to you is that the same person that is involved, that is the standard that was outlined by that individual. But even outside of that, are you suggesting that the Prime Minister of the country is referred? The leader of opposition comes to say, based on this, I'm not asking for him to resign. I'm saying that he should take a leave of absence until this matter has been settled. The matter, and then called as well on the Director of Corruption Prosecution to expedite the matter so that it could be dealt with in a timely fashion. To me, I don't see what in that warrants any form of criticism, because those to me seem to be appropriate actions taken in a responsible way by a leader of opposition.
Well, as I said,
carrying out his duties.
As I said, Dr. Campbell, this whole idea of leave of absence, it is so I don't even know how to consider the call for a Prime Minister to take leave of absence. From what? From the Prime Ministerial position? Or exactly how would it work? 1. 2, as I understand leaves of absence, they come in when the person remains in a position such that any investigations necessary, he may stand in the way of whatever relevant disclosures. I do not see how a 2006...
The Prime Minister is first among, right? First among his ministers. This is the person that is at the helm of the government. This is the person that is the chief person that interacts on behalf of government in Jamaica. If there is this cloud hanging over his head, then the appropriate thing that there has been a referred for possible prosecution. The call to say that he should step back until that has been rectified, I don't think is one that is responsible.
But Dr. Dayton Campbell, remember now, these allegations relate to events from 2006 to 2009, at a time when the OCG, the Contractor General's Act, was in full.
Statute of limitation and corruption.
No, that's not the point. That's not the point I'm making, and I completely agree with you on that. Every crucial document that was available 17 years ago, between 15 and 17 years ago, the Integrity Commission, through the OCG, then operational, should have it in hand. There should be no document left out there that primus inter pares, first among equals, should have access to, such that he could thwart any investigation. And it couldn't even be investigation because the investigation has already been done. But he couldn't be in the way to be in custody of anything such that a leave of absence would be necessary. And that is what makes the call so fallacious. Yeah, I don't know in which democracy you see any prime minister go on leave of absence for some investigation into some matter 16 years ago, at a time when he was not even yet a minister.
No, again, you just made a point that it's not about investigation. We weren't saying to step aside whilst the matter is investigated. The matter was investigated, was referred, and that brings a cloud over the head of the person that was the office. That was also being carried in international media.
But why didn't you wait? Why didn't you wait to see? Because remember now, on Wednesday, all you had was the referral. The cloud possibly would come if the Director of Corruption Prosecution ruled that he is to be charged. What would cause you not to wish to wait on a ruling of the Director of Corruption Prosecution to elevate the thing to the call that you made? What?
The call would have been elevated if he had been charged to say that he should resign. But having been referred, the call is made to say this officer has been brought into disrepute. The person should take a leave of absence until the matter has been decided on.
So let me ask you something.
Even now that he has not been charged, he has not been exonerated, you know.
But let me ask you.
The report is still there. The Integrity Commission is still and the report that they've put forward. It is still there that the Prime Minister caused the company to sign documents after work has been done.
What do you mean?
To facilitate payment. That is still there in the report, you know, the substantive things in the report that the Integrity Commission is saying today that they still stand behind the investigation. Those things are still there, you know. In some quarters, there seems to be some person's mind taking them to a point that he has been exonerated or the matter has been sanitized because there isn't sufficient evidence for a criminal charge. But it doesn't take away from the fact that the report is marked with cronyism and nepotism. It doesn't take away from that, you know.
What I see in the report is that Andrew Holness, based on the executive, is that in a letter dated December 20, 2007, he recommended the award of contract for 1.45 million for works in West Central St. Andrew to Westcon. He was not the awarder of the contract. He recommended somebody for the contract. Don't you recommend people for Christmas work in your constituency, Dr. Dayton, when you had a constituency?
No, I don't recommend people to sign a contract after work has been completed. No, I don't.
But who said that?
That's what is being said here.
Where?
In that report.
After work was completed?
Yes.
What paragraph of the report says that?
In relation to the payment, to expedite the payment for the persons for the Christmas program. That's what is being said in the report, you know.
Let me ask you then, did you read the Director of Corruption Prosecution's conclusions on that point?
I read the Director of Corruption.
Okay.
Of course.
I tell you what.
The DCP report. I did.
You have to come back with me.
I will come back.
Perhaps next week.
I think we need more time.
We need more time. All right, thank you. Thank you. Let's talk again. All the best to you. Anna K. Levy, my producer. Thank you to the wine, my X and Y, Daniel Thompson. Guys, have a great weekend. Take care. I'm Emily Shields.